countersink in this case. Okay, now we have one last feature and we're done with this part. We've got a tapped hole on the side of this. I'm going to go ahead and set up a sketch ahead of time to locate where the hole is going to be. And so we're going to create this sketch, and then we're going to create a point on that sketch. And then we want that feature to be centered right to left on this part. So let's go ahead and make a line that goes to that, and then make it vertically constrained. And then select that line we just made, and we're going to make that construction. So we've got it centered right to left in this view, but we need to set our height of where the center of the hole was, and it's 0.0625. I'm sorry, it's 0.625, which is 5/8. And so that's the location of our fastener hole that's going to go in the end. Okay, go ahead and hit Finish Sketch. And now we're going to create a hole, and we're going to place it on that face right there, and it's defaulting to some big giant drill bit. But we want to set our parameters. So our hole type is going to be a simple hole. It's going to be a tapped hole. A tapped hole, and then we're going to leave the thread offset alone. We're going to have a drill point, and down here we need to set the size. So it's defaulting to a 1" 8 national course. We're going to change that to a much smaller size. So it's a 1/4 inch nominal bolt we're putting in there. So pick 1/4, and it should default to 1/4 which is what we want. It is going to be a 2B thread, okay, right-handed, modeled, and you could check model. We don't really need it modeled, and our depth on it needs to match the drawing. So let's look at our drawing, and we have a thread that is 630 thousandths deep. And hit OK. Alright, so we have our threaded feature in the end. And then we have our text, so we need to put text on here. So our drawing, what does it say? It calls for Century Gothic text, 0.23 tall, engraved into the surface. It says 20 thousandths deep with an 1/8 inch ball mill. At the time of this recording, this hasn't been tested, so that might be a little too deep. So we're going to model it so the geometry is there, and we're going to engrave it, make adjustments on the machine, and it follows this curved surface here. And we have some dimensions on where the overall length should be of the text, so, and the height. So it is the left corner justified is 250 thousandths from, I'm sorry, it's 260 thousandths from the bottom edge, and it falls right on the center line of this arc. So it's a 580 thousandths from the left side. Okay, so let's go into Fusion. There's going to be 2 steps. What we want is actually curves projected on the surface, because that's what we're going to follow with what's called a trace command to do the engraving on that. You can use the engraving command, but it has to have enclosed shapes, and it doesn't really work too well following a surface. So we're going to use a small diameter ball cutter and just skim the surface ever so slightly after the surface is machined, and then if we need to adjust it down a little bit, we can do that with the tool on the machine. So let's go back to our model, and we're going to create a sketch, And that sketch can be pretty much anywhere on the what is our top plane. Okay, so we're going to go and we're going to create a text feature, and we're going to do linear text. And what it wants you to do is create a box that text is going to fall within. So just draw a box about that size. We're going to make adjustments to it in a minute. Okay, so our text height is, so it should be Century Gothic, bold, and then we're going to use a height of 0.23 because that's what the drawing says. So we can go ahead and type our text here. Make sure it is left justified to the bottom of the box we drew. I'm going to type Sierra College in all caps. Advanced Manufacturing. And it looks like my box is a little bit too small at the moment. That's okay. Let's hit OK. And you now should be able to move this box around. Okay. And the first thing we want to do is we want to make that box horizontal. We don't want it rotating around. Okay, so we make the right edge coincident with one of the corners of our model. Okay, and then we can put in a dimension from the bottom of our box to the edge of our model, and it's going to be 0.26 according to the drawing. And then the opposite end of our box should be dimensioned 0.5 0.58 from the end. And at the top of the box doesn't matter. The height of our text is based off of what we typed in, 0.23 tall. The bottom is 0.26 from the bottom edge and 0.58 from the left. So this is the text itself. Once we've done that, we have text, but that text isn't usable. It's on the bottom of our part right now. So what we're going to do is you're going to exit this sketch, and you're going to basically have to explode this text. Okay, so to look at it, you got to pick it probably from the underside, and right-click on the text itself, and hit Explode Text. It's going to turn green on you. Okay, once you've done this, you won't be able to edit the text. It's now turned it into line segments, and we're going to project it on the top surface. So we're going to hit Finish Sketch. We need to exit the sketch we're in, and we're going to create a new sketch on a plane that's parallel to what we just worked on. Okay, and we're going to project it onto a surface. So if we look at the model like this, we're going to go to Create, Project Include, and we're going to project to a surface. We're going to select the curved surface we want it projected on, which is our face. And then the next thing we need to do is select our curves. But we need to pick our projection type and direction first. So we're going to go along vector, and we're going to select the vector as one of these vertical edges on our model. So it's going to go in the direction that we select. Now we're going to select our curves. If we go to the top view, we should be able to draw a marquee box around our text, and you should see it highlight in red, and we hit OK. Now there's a few entities here, so it might take a few moments to generate, and the projected geometry will be purple in color, and it creates these little circles where the intersections between the nodes are. And it's now projected on the surface of our model. This way we can use a trace command to follow this, and there we go. We've hit finish sketch. I wouldn't worry about your text sketch being fully constrained as long as you have it positioned right. And then you're pretty much done at this point with the model and ready to move on with machining. The sketch that's down below that has the Sierra College that you projected from, I would go ahead and make that invisible so we don't have to see it anymore. And you might want to do the same thing with this projected sketch when you're not actually working on that. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my visual style as shaded with visible edges only, and we have our purple text. Okay, so you should submit your project this way. You can cut letters in the model, but they're not typically machinable. That would be for a different process, stamping, printing, or casting. All right, that's it, and we'll catch you on the next one.